Relationship tip number 14, watch your mouth. You know, they say the majority of car accidents happen just a few miles away from a person's home. That means the majority of car accidents happen in familiar territory. You know, familiar territory. You know, those roads that we are so used to traveling day in and day out. We know all the turns, all the dips, all the potholes and all that stuff. We're so used to driving on those roads that we've become so familiar that sometimes we put our minds on autopilot. And while it's on autopilot, we're not paying attention to what's going on around us. While it's on autopilot, we get distracted. Thus, the majority of accidents happen, the majority of crashes happen in familiar territory. Unfortunately, we have a bunch of relationship accidents that happen in familiar territory. Relationship crashes that happen because we become so familiar with one another that we say whatever we want out of our mouths, even if it hurts our spouses. You know, we don't talk to our co-workers and our boss like we do to our spouses, do we? You know, that was stupid. You look horrible. What are you, dumb? I mean, we don't say things like that. Man, this food is terrible. We don't say stuff like that, you know, to our co-workers. But because we become so familiar with our loved ones, with our spouses, that we don't even check our mouths. We have our brains on autopilot, and we're not aware that a crash is about to occur. And I know some of us may think, hey, you know, it's just small. She knows my heart. She knows I love her. He knows I love him. I'll make it up to him. But these small things add up. Remember what Song of Solomon says in chapter 2, verse 15. It says, catch the little foxes. The little foxes that spoil the vine. You know, the little foxes, the little things that ruin your garden, that ruin your relationship, because those little things add up. Remember with what Paul said in Colossians, I think about chapter 2 somewhere. He said that let your speech be with grace, seasoned with salt. In other words, when we speak to one another, it should be with favor. It should be with grace, especially to our spouses, our best friends, because no husband wants to feel disrespected and no wife wants to feel unloved. There's only but so many more put downs that a husband would take, so many more insults that a husband would take before he shuts down and just stops talking. There's only so many put downs that a wife would take, so many verbal attacks that a wife would take before she starts to run from you. Maybe not physically, but emotionally run from you. Don't let being familiar be a weakness. Let it be a strength. You know, that is your best friend. You should know what makes her sad, what hurts her feelings. I'd like to go a little deeper. Some of us have gotten a little too familiar with the Lord Jesus Christ, so much so that we don't give him the reverence that he deserves. We got so used to him being always being there. We got so used to him blessing us. He's our best friend. He's our counselor. He's all those things. But even with that, remember, he's the God of the universe. And he deserves glory. He deserves reverence. So yeah, you're there on your bed with your hands behind your head trying to pray without giving him reverence. Yeah, I know he's your best friend. I know he's always there for you. But he deserves reverence. He is not one of your homies. He's not one of your girlfriends. He's your Lord. Again, don't let being familiar or being used to someone be a weakness, but let it be a strength. Know him. Because remember, relationships are everything. Every one of them. And yours is worth the work.